Yeah, and I do have some fun tomorrow playing. Malcolm Parker's coming in tomorrow. A tremendous local musician, man. The guy's doing so many great things. He does a lot of those open mic nights at Utica Brews, and he's also part of the house band over at Wakely's. And he's also, and the manager of Wakely's also joining him tomorrow. So we'll talk to that. It'd be fun to chop it up and talk 700 Varick Street for a little while.
I was a little bummed out. Friday, some couple came in and said that Wakely's had a band over there playing some Bob Seger covers. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was probably them.
Son of a bitch.
It's probably them, actually. Malcolm, and he's got the house band over there. He's got some tremendous musicians playing with him. Oh, he's got some beasts playing with him. So there's always good stuff going on. Malcolm's super talented, too. He plays drums, plays keys, plays bass, plays guitar. He's just one of those musicians that you look at him and you're like, oh, you make me sick. But he's so good, though. You know what I mean? He's just so talented. And I mean that like you make me sick in a good way. Just because they're so, like Nick Piccinini's another one from Floodwood. Jay and Nick and Jay. Like that guy can play anything you want. You can put a kazoo in front of him and he'll make it sound amazing. Unbelievable. But Malcolm is one of those talented musicians for sure.
Like have them do the kind of like how they do with the children's toys.
Yeah.
See if those guys like what they can do.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then Thursday's a jam-packed show. I'm loving our Thursday shows because we've been jamming them up. We've been jamming them up big time. But this Thursday, concert extraordinaire, promoter, my local hero. He's like a second father to me. Chuck Chale's going to be here. We're going to chop it up with him, talk about a bunch of great stuff that we got going on. We're in the middle of making, I don't even know if I should say this or not.
I'd wait.
All right.
It seems to be the theme lately. Just wait.
Just wait. But we're in the middle of something big with him, and I'm looking forward to chopping it up with him. And also Samantha's going to join us and talk about sex, probably. like she always does.
Well, tell me your skiing story. Cocaine? Wow.
And Mike DeVice, of course, calling in as he does every Thursday. The guy went 3-2 last week, man. He went 3-2.
Yep.
And he had his big upset, both of them actually, both of his big upsets and both of his 5-star locks came through last week.
So
Rutgers being
actually, those wondering why it says starting soon, you're listening to the EC Radio on the Disruption Network and Raz Radio Live.
So is he up a box of Z's?
We're going to have a little segment with them before we go live on the first 52 tonight. Sit tight if you're watching on, what is that, Twitch. Sit tight, my friends. We'll be there with you soon.
I'm sure he does.
Oh, yeah.
But finally he gets to go up a little bit because he was lingering right around 500, so he's up a box of Zini. So this is when he says he gets hot. He likes to call it the Vice's pension plan. It's the middle of football season.
I'm sure I'll get a couple fuck you chickens.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the shtick. You guys can bury the hatchet when he comes in. Or maybe not. Who knows? But I got to give some love and respect out to my boy Garrett Knob from 3-Inch Fury and Gridley Page, the bass player in both of those bands. Garrett has a really cool business that he does, showbizmedia.com. It's SHOBIZ media.com. He does web design and graphic arts, and he came up with the logo for the Mike DeVice logo. And it looks pretty sharp, so
yeah, I seen it.
We'll be popping that up there. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like, it's throwing money at you. It's almost like the modern age Crazy Eddie.
Yeah.
Insane! And that definitely defines Mike DeVice. Dude's insane. The dude's absolutely insane. So we'll see what he's got going on for his football picks. And then Thursday, of course, the D-Line.
Yes, sir.
And you have a great friend and a frequent listener of EC Radio, great friend of mine, and have been for many years from the Crazy Fool, Sean Gaffney, coming on.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you something. That guy is a numbers guy. I've played fantasy baseball with him for many years, and he wins every year.
Oh, yeah?
He's just a numbers guy. So whatever he's bringing to the table, to the D-Line, it's going to be good. It's going to be very well researched, and he'll give it to you pretty good, man. It'll be interesting to see Sean, too. I haven't seen him in a while.
I like to see him with, if he's a numbers guy, then with Caleb and Silver, I'm going to be the dumb guy.
Yeah,
of course.
Well, look who you surround yourself with.
Well, see, they make me look smart,
Him and Caleb will be good dichotomy with each other.
Oh, yeah.
Because Caleb's the numbers guy, too. And Sean's Mr. Analytics. He really is.
And Silver will come out with, the most random, statistic or fact that, nobody should ever know. But, he knows for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like that guru.
Yeah, he's kind of like that, Yeah.
You guys do weekly picks on the D-line, right?
Absolutely.
With your
Yep. We go through every game.
Oh, you go through every game.
We go through every game, starting with the Thursday night game, and then but we don't just give our picks, but we tell you why.
Yeah.
You know, like
well, do you do it with the line or straight up?
we do it straight up. We give the line so people get an idea who's being favored or whatever.
Yeah.
But we bet straight up.
Straight
Not-
up. So it's like the money line.
Yeah.
It's like you betting the money line.
So, just I don't know, just keep it simpler, less math and all.
You
that
guys
bullshit.
are halfway through the season. Who's in the lead right now?
I think Caleb is.
Is he?
I'm not 100% correct, but Silbert had the score on that. I was right up there.
Yeah.
But you know, like we like to give everybody reasons why we're choosing that team. You know, the matchups and like Caleb gives like who he just likes for fantasy and things like that nature. But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. We have a good time with it.
What are you going to do in the off season?
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know yet.
Maybe keep it going or maybe talk something else?
It could happen.
Yeah.
I know both those guys are loving it right
You could
now.
open it up to all different sports too, right?
We could.
I mean, you guys are well
Absolutely.
versed. I know you're not really a baseball or a hockey guy, but you're in the basketball, and Silbert he's into everything, right? Or just football?
He's mostly he's a Celtics fan too.
Yeah, and Caleb's in everything. Caleb's
Yeah.
just a well-versed sports fan, and he's also in the profession of Major League Baseball,
Right.
being a scout.
Yep.
He's a scout out there.
That kind of helps. Yeah.
That helps a lot, you know.
He's got the know, and he's.
I wonder how many fantasy baseball leagues that motherfucker's won.
Oh, I know, right? But it'll surprise you, like how many times like the people who are like do that kind of stuff for a living don't win. You know, like my brother's he was a poker dealer for many years, and we went. I played down there in Florida during Super Bowl Sunday. We had a poker tournament. I played with all poker dealers. I was like the only one who did not work at a casino.
Uh-huh.
I was like, fuck it, it's $20 buy-in, whatever. But I was just like balls to the wall. I just kept and I kept reading everybody, see what they're doing. They're trying to play super, super tight. And I'm like, guys, you're only going to lose $20.
Because they're all in the profession.
Yeah.
So they got to like play the game, play the role.
I'm like, guys, you're only going to win. You're only going to lose $20. So I already expected to lose $20, and I won. You know what I mean? Because they just couldn't. They're too worried about how they're going to play. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird that like sometimes people they're too close to it. They worry too much.
Yeah.
Or they overanalyze. So, and you think about like a lot of times, somebody's girlfriend will make the picks and win
Because they do it because they like the color of one team or the other,
Oh, he's cute. So
Yeah.
like, then they pick it. I've seen shit like that happen all the time. Or like when you're picking your teams, who wants to play? Oh, I like Miami. It's always sunny there, and then they win. You're like, I hate you. Then you get these other people looking at stats and the injury reports and all this and that, and you just never know.
You never know.
You can
man.
outthink yourself.
Yeah. Well, the D-Line will be here this Thursday, 6 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
The D-Line. How many episodes now? 6?
I think this is our fifth.
Fifth?
Yeah.
That's cool, man. It's going really good,
Guys
too.
having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get a lot more guests and people coming in.
Well, the cool thing is you got experts coming on. And you got, people that have either played the game or... He's very informational.
Just informational, man. That kid's like, he's very thorough.
He is. We miss him around here, too. All right. We got we got a caller on the Skype line right now, joining us right now. You know what? I forgot to cue the music. I'm so behind today. Sean Raz,
The Pets and the Raz?
the first 52, RazRadioLive.com. Our good friend and compadre, our co-worker. I don't know. You got a lot of accolades out there.
Yeah, I like a list of stuff, man. I'll take it.
How's things in Raz world?
Things are great. Just so you know, you are live on Twitch right now on my Twitch feed, so they are seeing the Z video on Raz Radio Twitch right now. Sean Raz one.
Yeah.
And then they just dropped off.
Yeah, I just went to 0 watchers.
I flashed them all. You're out of here.
How you guys doing tonight, huh?
Yeah, we're good. We're just chilling, just a normal night in upstate New York, man. It's about to snow out there. It was 70 and then it turned to snow. So
I know the feeling. It was like 62 last week, and I thought it was going to fucking freeze over. And, it was 75, 80 degrees today, so I was happy. I'm good to go.
It hasn't been 70 in about a month here, Raz. I was just joking with you.
Yeah, well, I'm a dick and I live in Florida, so of course I'm gonna rub it in.
You're a Florida dick.
Actually, it's been quite warm this past.
Yeah, it's been okay. It hasn't been that bad. I'm hoping the snow doesn't start really flying till like after the holidays, but whatever. You're from upstate New York, and then that's all you talk about is the weather.
Yeah, I don't miss it. I gotta be honest. I grew up in South Jersey. I don't miss and I lived in Western Pennsylvania for a while. I don't miss that weather at all. I miss the change and the motif that goes with it, but I don't miss having to deal with it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching the weather and make sure if you can get to work kind of sucks.
Yeah, waiting to get out of work, And listen, I just want to make sure I put this forward for you there, Chicken. You got to do it for the kids. No kid likes a hairy butthole, so make sure you fucking get it waxed. No kid wants a hairy butthole. To take care of the kids. Do it for the children.
It's a charity, man. It's a charity. Like, how extreme can you go for a charity? And I think waxing your butthole would be a good extreme way of raising some money.
I would agree.
See?
Yeah.
I absolutely would agree.
No matter what the charity is, it could be for Toys for Tots or whatever. It could be any older charity. I mean, it could even be for prostate cancer. I mean,
Tots. I mean, shit. Who cares? Just wax your butthole. You'll be happy.
Exactly.
It'll go in easier. You won't have so much tear. You'll like it much better. Don't worry.
You get to make a wish when they do the strip pull.
I like the Dick's Picks to Raz one better.
How do you raise money for that, though?
Oh God, I don't
Who
know.
fucking cares?
It's for charity here, Chicken. I'm trying to do something for charity here.
Always for charity. That's all. We're not being dicks to each other. We're just doing it for charity.
Exactly.
Well, we gotta see how much money we can raise. We gotta set like a high goal here.
They call that prostitution in other states,
In
How the
Nevada.
fuck do you talk while you're drinking, dude?
He's good at it. What's on the menu tonight, Raz? What are you pounding down?
Well, tonight we got my buddy Scott Rickard.
I mean, alcohol-wise.
Oh, alcohol-wise. Well, obviously I got a bottle of vodka, a little small vodka. And I got my Sunshine City, which is my favorite. And then I got my monkey beer. I call it Space Monkey beer because it's a space monkey on a beer can. And it's a little lighter, so it's only like a what is this? This is a 4.4 where this is a 6.9. So, you gotta balance some things.
You got to balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
How's that lovely wife of yours doing?
I was hoping she'd be home in time. I mean, we're rolling up to the start of the show here, and she got held up at work, I think. So it's like I can't get my co-host online. My wife isn't home yet. Luckily, I got a good interview tonight at 7 o'clock. So, it'll be an interesting evening to see what we can cover, to see what topics we can roll over. I mean, it is the conspiracy show, and God knows there's all kinds of crazy shit going on in the world right now that I don't even. The conspiracy guy doesn't even know where to go with it.
Tonight on the show, you have Scott Rickard, former Air Force intelligence analyst.
Yeah, former Air Force intelligence analysis and also a linguistics. He did a lot of.
That's 10 times fast.
Yeah, no, I can't, so I'm not going to try to. But he's a great guy. He's a regular on my show. One of my good friends. He's been to CIA conferences. He's been to Razfest. I've seen his penis. I mean, he's just a good guy.
That doesn't surprise me.
He passed a dick pic, right?
Did you touch the penis, though?
No, I did not touch the penis. It's a big penis, though, I got to tell you. This guy's got a schlong that you would not believe.
Yeah.
And he needs to have it for what he's doing. I mean, he's exposing craziness, and a lot of people don't like him because they call him a Zionist or anti-Zionist because he speaks out against the Israeli state. And listen, you realize Saudi Arabia is about ready to go to war, right?
Yeah, are they?
With Lebanon, yeah. Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, and Iran are about ready to go to war.
Raz, there's so much going on in the world and within the country and everything. It's so hard to keep up with everything.
And then Kim Kardashian keeps changing her style.
Right.
And it's like, how do you keep up?
It's crazy out there, guys. Listen, I've been doing this. I've done my show for 5 years. I've done research into this realm of stuff for about 8 years, 7, 8 years. And it's got so overloaded. Like you can't even keep up with it anymore. It is just we're being bombarded. It's done on purpose. I really honestly believe that. I'm not saying everything's a false flag and everything's fake, but as society collapses, it automatically does stupidity. And it's just it's getting out of hand, man. I don't even know how to explain it.
It really is, man. It's
You
hard to
scary.
keep up to.
You don't know who to believe anymore.
No, you don't. You really don't. Because you know what? Here's a great example, and we're going to get into this in my show tonight. And I've only got a couple minutes. I just wanted to swing by real fast with you guys. But yesterday, right? I wake up in the morning and I'm listening to my talk show. I listen to Bubba in the morning, and I'm listening to what they're playing. And they're talking about these redneck guys that chased down this guy, took his gun from him. I'm talking about the Texas shooting. Took his gun from him, chased him down, did 95 miles an hour down the road, and then at lunchtime I go to my local restaurant and Fox News is on, and they're talking about how the cops chase these guys down. So who really chased these guys down? Who really shot this guy? It's constantly changing, and that's the problem. We don't ever get a story that we can believe, and we don't know who to trust.
Kind of like Vegas. Vegas is another one.
That fell off the map, dude. What was the last thing you heard anything about Vegas?
Yeah.
I feel like after all these shootings and things like that, there's all these different stories. You don't know who to believe.
Listen, Campo fell off the face of the earth, which was the hero of that day. You'd think the hero of that day, we'd be parading, all over the news media. He got one interview with Ellen. There's been no big promotions of the when people die. What do? They do memorials. There's not big memorials of these 59 people that died that day. We're not seeing big parades down the street of these poor people that got killed allegedly. Why is that not big news? And then we have this shooting in Texas happen, a month or so later. We've got the pastor, him and his wife were out of town, but his daughter was killed in the shooting. We've got all these young children killed. God, I'm not a God-fearing man because I'm an atheist, and I'll be honest about that, but it's a sin to watch children die. Children should not die.
No parents should watch their kid die either.
No, and I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. You think I want to see a fucking 18-month-old die? That's a little bit younger than my grandchild. We don't want to see that. We shouldn't be seeing that. And that's why we need to pay attention to what's going on so we can realize that we, as humanity, as American citizens, as fucking people, have the ability to change this. We have the ability to stop listening to the people that think they know what's better for us, and we can actually tell them what's better for us, and what they're doing is not better for us.
Right. I agree 100%, man.
Think for ourselves? No, come on. That's crazy talk.
No, you have to watch Fox or CNN or MSNBC and just believe what they say. It doesn't matter if it contradicts what you've already read before that. Just believe what they say. Go with their narrative.
I don't watch any of that shit. Sorry.
Yep.
Neither do I. You have to.
Yeah, no. That's I like my comfortable bubble that I live in. You know what I'm saying?
When you play my game, you have to play all of their game. You have to watch what these idiots are saying. You have to, because that's where you catch them in their stupidity. Why do you think? I think we discussed this last week or 2 weeks ago when we were together. This whole thing in Hollywood, this whole pedophile rate. This is not new. This is not this pedophile, this sexual harassment ring of Hollywood should not be surprising to anybody. It was the standard operating procedure in the 80s. That's what they did. They sexually harassed you. You got popular, and you were happy. You made a lot of money. End of story. That was the 80s.
It's been going on
bothered
for
now.
It's been going on for 100 years.
Yeah. Ever since movies started, dude.
It sucks, man.
It's bothersome. I don't know. It frustrates me.
There's a lot of weird people in the world, man. It's just...
But they've always been there, my friend. And unfortunately, most of the weird people in this world are the rich and powerful.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's really where it starts.
That's unfortunate.
Well, because they get bored and they get that, weird egomaniac where they feel like they can get away with anything.
Well, plus they have the ability to cover stuff up. Money covers up anything.
Yep.
Money covers anything, my friend.
Hey, Raz.
Yes, sir.
With it being election day today, did you go out and vote?
I didn't. Today was election day?
So probably not in Florida then, huh?
Well, it's November something. I know it's in November. We're in November, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's election day for us up here in upstate New York.
I know nationwide there's some elections going on. It's unfortunately small stuff that most people don't pay attention to. Yes, I did see some signs locally here, but I didn't do anything. I'm really starting to reconsider my direction of how I will handle things like the election going forward.
Yeah. Well, for me, on a national level, we've all seen in the last, I don't know, decade or so on how fucked up the whole process is. So on a local level, I think it's super important because especially out here, people don't really vote on a local level as much as they should. So every vote kind of counts on a local level.
Well, let's discuss a local level. Okay, here in the state of Florida, last year we voted 70%, I believe it was 70% or 69%. To legalize medical marijuana. You know what? The state of Florida is still fucking with us and still not allowing people who need it, who want it, who are requiring it to get it because they can't come up with the ideas of how to make it operate properly. You know what? Fuck you. We voted for it. Give it to us. Figure it out later.
Ask Colorado.
New York State did the same thing, though, actually. And I believe they had to push forward.
You still got to jump through so many hoops.
Yeah, you guys got the worst fucking. You have one of the worst medical marijuana laws in the entire country up there in New York.
Stupid, and they don't know how to figure it out. Well, why don't you ask Colorado? They figured it out.
But it's like, let's not let them use the natural, healthier stuff. Let's put chemicals and shit in it, and only let them use that stuff.
Well, that's what they're trying to do down here. They don't want to allow you to smoke it. They don't want you to have edibles. You have to have a pharmaceutical grade, blah, blah, blah. That's what they're trying to do down here. That's why there's so much pushback right now. It's ridiculous, it's stupid, and it's time for people to understand that when we put a vote forward of 60% plus people saying, we want this, to fucking step aside and give it to us.
Yeah, stop jerking off the pharmaceutical companies and fucking get it done.
Right, exactly. It's not about the almighty dollar. It's about the almighty human being.
What's holding it up down there in Florida?
The almighty dollar. How does the pharmaceutical get a bite in it? How does the state get a bite of it? How does the government get a bite of it? That's what's holding it up down here.
Trying to figure out how to split up the pie.
Right, exactly. Instead of taking care of the human beings that need it. I have family members that need it. Listen, I smoke it to get fucked up, all right? I smoke it as my antidepressant. That's how I use marijuana. But I have family members that use tinctures, that use other forms of deliverance that doesn't fuck them up, that allows them to function halfway through the day. And that's what I'm fighting for. Yeah, I want to smoke weed and get high. Yes, I do. So be it. But that's not what the battle's about. The battle is about taking care of people who are hurting, people that can solve their problems, their ailments. Through something so simple.
Or help with anxiety, stress, and everything else.
We're holding it back from them, man. Why? Why are we holding it back? Why are we preventing it?
Well, because they got to figure out how to split that pie up.
Same bullshit reasons it was illegal in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Pharmaceutical needs to get the big bite. All right, guys, I got to get shit together, see if my wife's home, find out where my kid is, and get my show rolling. So I'll be up and live here in about 10 minutes. Raz Radio Live, the D, and many other locations. Twitch Radio. If you guys want to watch the video, it's on Twitch. Join us. And of course, I love my boy Z. Always listen to this show.
Raz. Savor of the universe. Much love and respect out to you, my friend. Make sure you check out Raz every night here on the D, 6 o'clock, the first 52, and of course on RazRadioLive.com. Raz, thanks for all you do, man.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.
See you, Raz.
We are out of here as well. It's time to close it up, chicken.
Let's go.
We'll see.
Attention, brothers and sisters. Take a look around. We are killing the future.
It's time for a TF52 flashback.
I think we have the lamest intro and outro music to the show, and I think we need to start changing that.
Well, what do you want, Dave?
Well, honestly, I'd like Frank to write us a song, but
Oh, he's all butthurt and jealous.
No,
he doesn't
I'm
have an
envious.
intro
I'm not
song.
envious.
Hey,
I'm not
hey.
I'm not jealous. I'm envious.
We've got our own intro.
Right.
Don't
So-
be all upset. That's
Right.
not for you, sir. That's not for you. No, it's not for you.
I'm explaining that it would cheapen his song on their thing. So, but we got to get something that's upbeat. Everybody's got a nice. I mean, your father-in-law's got a better intro music.
We're not an upbeat show, Dave. We are the ones that talk about the stupid, crazy shit that nobody else wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's just
that's
put it
what
to
we
vote.
are.
How about that? Let's make it a democratic process.
Well, if somebody wants to make us a new intro that's more upbeat or that fits better, then I offer that out to anybody who would like to do that. I would appreciate it. It would be great. But that's not what our show is, Dave. We're not the happy-go-lucky show. Maybe we need a happy-go-lucky third-hour intro so we can, mellow out and get into it that way. But that's not what the show's about, dude. I mean, we talk about, new apps allows its users to tattle on gun owners. We talk about DARPA making humanoids, the newest robot out, which goes from the one we saw before, the pet one. We talk about all these different things. So it's not a happy-go-lucky show. It's not.
I'm just saying,
pleasantries.
Get it better. All right, let's move on.
Oh, Dave, I love to argue with you.
That's why I'm trying to move on.
It's so much fun.
I've had my fill of arguing on Salty Show.
No, I'm sure. Yeah, that was a good show, though. So
Wait, are they talking about that one night when everybody was yelling?
yeah,
It was awesome.
Thursday night. Yeah.
No, it's Wednesday, I
No,
think.
it was on a Wednesday.
Can you keep the
Tuesday
desk
or
in one place, please?
it was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and it was like really, that was good shit.
I think it was Thursday. Was it Thursday or Wednesday?
No.
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday. It was Wednesday. God damn it, get it right.
We all live in different realities. There's no doubt about that. They're trying to form a one unified reality. But as we start to look towards what we're trying to actually get to, and that is liberty, freedom, justice for all, which is a global cry. We are now knowing it within from all the internet realms that this is a global cry. It doesn't matter if you're in the Netherlands, in Africa, in Peru, or wherever. We're all saying the same thing all over the globe. All over the globe. And so you can't reject anything that comes your way. The universe is trying to speak to you and give you what you need, but you're rejecting it because you think you know what you deserve and what you need, which has all been conditioned and programmed by our culture creators such as Walt Disney, Monsanto, and everyone else. So the answer to our problem is actually invisible, and it is called synchronicity, but it's an answer that no one can show you. No one can show you. And so now we're asking humanity to have faith in humanity when the Dark Brotherhood is making it so impossible to do so. Because we think all of this is our fault. Because we think all of this is our fault. Because we think all of this is our fault. So we need to find that faith in humanity, because listen to all these people that have come out here, every single one of them, a loving, caring, nurturing being that just wants to uplift humanity. Well, that's the majority. Well, that's the majority. Well, that's the majority. The television's telling you the total opposite. Fear those people in a van. Fear, don't go outside. You don't want to be meeting around with people. And that's exactly what you should be doing. And that's exactly what you should be doing. And that's exactly what you should be doing. And that's exactly what you should. And the synchronicities will start to unfold, and then you'll actually believe in miracles. Anything that comes your way, go with it and do it to your fullest. That's my message to the world, because it'll guide you to your soul's purpose. And if you let your light shine, to your fullest when something comes your way, then it'll magnify and become even more than you ever anticipated. And the best thing is that everything's better than you could have ever dreamed it. Everything's better than you could have ever dreamed it. Everything's better than you could have ever. And I know that's a hard message to sell when the BP oil spill, with the volcanoes, with the corruption, with everything that's going down, the police state, all of it. It's hard to tell people to regain their faith in humanity, to forgive the anger that you have for these people that have trespassed on you, and to just start seeking the new existence. But we have to. That's what we have to do. We're the voice now. We're the voice now. We're the voice now.
Words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country.
What's life worth?
You should just go get some water for the man. Damn, overstaying your $300,000 debut was $2 grand. I got a cool million to run. Chances of them fucking with me is like 2 death or give birth? What's life worth when you're living inside a virtual prison and information you give is essentially science fiction? Juices a robbery victim used to the sodomy system. Your future's poverty stricken, computer lottery picking. It's almost like a brand new world is getting ushered in. It's hard to tell the Republicans from the Dem Republicans. Or could you ever notice a difference in the beginning? Or was it just an illusion created by a magician? Listen, they're using multiplication, it's a true to addition. Economists don't know how to subtract, just do the division. Society is greed stricken, sipping red rum, stepping over half dead bums to feed pigeons. It's an illusion of safety and it's a hazard when the only real choices you got is paper and plastic. This shit is truly terrifying when old rich men keep designing wars for young poor people to die in. This control of the earth. Yes, my friend. What do you think your life's really worth? Guess again. This control of the earth. That's the truth. What do you think your life is really worth? Life worth. No doubt it's all about the purse. Grip your pocketbook tight tonight is the worst. Greedy capitalists got the streets on first and they pushing for a peace on earth. What's life worth? Ask yourself what come first. How much can one do with one verse? Do you want to get in touch with the universe? Do you want to cause death or give birth? What is life?
Whether or not you are in fact viable. Your differences with the Republicans with the rest of the Republicans on this stage has raised questions about whether or not you can actually win the Republican nomination, sir.
Well, we've only had 2 little primaries so far, so it's pretty premature to decide which one is going to be the candidate. But, you know, when you think about it, if you measured everything I've ever said, every vote I've ever taken against the Constitution, you know, I'm a strict constitutionalist. Are you suggesting the Republicans should write me off because I'm a strict constitutionalist? I'm the most conservative member here. I have voted, you know, against more spending and wasting it than anybody else. So you're suggesting that I'm not electable and the Republicans don't want me because I'm a strict fiscal conservative? Because I believe in civil liberties? Why should we not be defending civil liberties? And why should we not be talking about foreign policy that used to be the part of the Republican Party? Mr. Republican Robert Taft didn't even want us to be in NATO. And you're saying now that we have to continue to borrow money from China to finance this empire that we can't afford? Let me see if I get this right. We need to borrow $10 billion from China, and then we give it to Musharraf, who's a military dictator who overthrew an elected government, and then we go to war, we lose all these lives promoting democracy in Iraq. I mean, what's going on here? And you're saying that this insinuation that I am less Republican because of that?
My decisions are fairly simple. I mentioned it already. Survival, okay? And in order to learn that, Mother Nature, always took my cue from nature. I realized some time ago that, you know,
Oh, we get started soon, my friend. Just sit tight. My buddy's on Twitch. We'll get there. Don't worry. We got you, my friend. Sit tight. First 52 is coming at you soon. Another couple minutes. All you guys listen over on Raz Radio and every other station that's out there, trust me, we will be live soon. Got a lot of things going on here. I love you. Sit tight, my friends. We'll be there with you.
Yeah, yo. What is life really worth? What is it?
Being a cat can be damn tedious. People dangling bells and bits of string in your face all the time. Just be a dog. Run around, catch frisbees, pee on a fire hydrant. Life's more rewarding, and you get access to lots of treats. Catch Salty Talk Mondays and Wednesdays, and every Friday for Salty's Weekend Warm-Up, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Add a little salt to your life, and be more dog.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Oh, what a weird way to start the show. Welcome to the first 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Free Blood, Radio Chaos, Radio Confluence, Salty Talk Radio, The D. Who am I missing? Who am I missing, honey? I know I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Did I get everybody?
I think so.
Disruption. I got disruption. I think I got everybody. How about that? Don't forget, you can also catch us on Twitch.com or .tv, Ustream, YouTube, Periscope. How do you want to see us? How do you want to listen to us? What do you want to do with us? You can find us. Z, thank you very much, my friend, for allowing me to join you for a little bit before my show. Kind of rolling into our shows, on the D. That's what we do. After this, you got E's, Beats, and Bits, or Biz, or maybe it's Z's, Beats, and Biz, or maybe it's Beats and Biz. I don't know. I know E's is traveling and doing schooling. But you got something to listen to after this. That's all. That's the main point. You have something to listen to. That's what it's about. Honey, I know you've had a hard day. You look really stressed. You look like you literally walked in the studio less than 30 seconds before I started the intro. You were driving until that point in time.
Yes.
You all right over there?
I spent like 9 hours today with an auditor.
It's never any fun. It's never any fun to deal with an auditor.
My brain is fried.
Well, I appreciate you getting here. I don't know where the fuck Porto is. I messaged him. I asked him if he was going to be here. I've got the mumble up. He's not there. So I guess it's you and I. We got Scott Rickard joining us. This should excite you, honey.
Oh, Scott.
Yeah, we got Scott at 7.
I love Scott.
Now you can put the chicken cordon bleu in and join us for Scott. We'll have a good time with him. I love working with Scott. I think you and I could probably come up with enough things to discuss for the next, hour or so, 35 minutes, whatever it be. I think we can come up with stuff. Possibly. I do want to send out my condolences. I'm not a religious man, but there are people that I like to fuck with, I like to give a hard time to, that I still care about. And Buzzy, you lost your brother this week. My thoughts are with you.
Oh, man, sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I like to mess with Buzzy, but you know what?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lost his brother this week. I believe 58 years old. Had a heart attack. Yeah, it's a sad thing when you hear that, and especially people we're friends with, people we've associated with many a times before. So Buzzy, our thoughts are out to you, and I hope it works out for you, and I hope everything gets better for you. Just wanted to share that out there and discuss that briefly. Yes, I love you too, Mikey. As you see, if you're watching Twitch, you saw my son roll through. Had to give his 2 cents. If you want to follow us, again, if you're watching Twitch, at Sean Raz, at Lexi Raz, it's displayed there for you to find us very easily to figure out where we're at. So, honey, where do you want to start tonight? What have you been... Let's start with what's on Lexi's mind.
Oh, my God, really?
Well, other than your auditor today. I know, but there's got to be something you've been paying attention to. There's got to be something that's been coming across, whether it's something I shared or somebody else shared that grabbed your attention. I mean, I know you better than that.
Okay, well, here it is, you guys. Been super busy working and holidays. I was ill last week and had a rough end of the month for October. Had a great weekend and got to relax and unwind, and I haven't been paying attention to shared posts and things that other people have been saying because life.
Oh, so
But
you're telling me I'm
I'm
fucking full of
open
shit for like
discussion.
asking you to figure
Way
anything
to put
out.
me on the spot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything necessarily in mind that is bothering me. Although Fukushima is still an issue for me, but you know, that's never changed.
Well, yeah, obviously, because it's never gone away. We've had additional problems added to that. I'm looking over here at the which one? The Confluence, Radio Confluence chat room. Yes, Scott Riggert is making the rounds. I can't wait to talk to Scott tonight. He's one of my favorite interviews. We have a lot of good fun with him. If you were listening, if you were watching the Twitch feed prior to and hearing EC Radio, you might have heard some things I disclosed about Scott. But I like Scott. He's my buddy. And yes, RC Radio should get into Twitch. I'm suggesting it to all of you guys. If you haven't checked out the Twitch yet, you can stare at my wife watching her phone. It's a great thing. It's an awesome way to just get entertainment. But it allows me to share videos with you guys. It allows for a lot more entertainment to be driven to you. It's just a new way to do it.
Are you making fun of me?
No, I'm not making fun of you.
I'm just responding to an email real quick.
Okay, that's cool. I know you've had a hard week.
I just got here.
I know
Just
you
give me a
literally. I said you just walked in the door. Like I was trying. Like I really thought I was going to have to do a lot more, getting ready and like holding over till you got here. You know something we discussed. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We had Christopher on, right, hon?
Yes.
All right.
Christopher Wyatt.
Yeah, Christopher Wyatt was on 2 weeks ago, and yes, he is getting ready to do a show here on Raz. I'm trying to get him set up to figure out how to handle everything he needs to handle. You know, I mean, it's not just sign up. This is an automated feed. You don't just call a Skype number and get on Raz Radio. You know, you have to have a little bit of knowledge. You have to be able to figure out how to make things operate on your own. So he's working on getting that all together, and I look forward to having him on there. I look forward to the vaccination talk. But part of what I'm bringing this up about, honey, is if you remember when he was joining us about a week and a half ago, he was discussing how right now there's a mumps outbreak in Syracuse, and how majority of the people are vaccinated. Do you remember that conversation?
All of them were vaccinated.
All of them.
All 12.
All 12 of them were vaccinated. Well, I think there's more than 12 now, but yes. So a story came across Drudge the other day. I think it was actually this morning or the day before. Well, this dated November 6th, so whenever that would have been. Mumps makes a comeback even among the vaccinated.
Well, what do they mean even among the vaccinated?
Well, that's what
mostly in the vaccinated.
Well, that's what makes me laugh, because if you look at the
What it should
historical,
say.
if you look at the historical outbreaks, it's always been vaccinated majority that have an issue during the season when you would get mumps. It's not surprising, and they call it different things. You know, I had scarlet fever, which is a version of mumps. It's just a more acceptable. Oh, you have scarlet fever. You don't have mumps. You know, it's not as scary to people.
Well, the two are different.
It's different, but it's similar. I mean, it is a similar disease. Anyway, mumps makes a comeback even among the vaccinated. If you think you've been seeing mumps in the news more often in the past couple of years, you're absolutely right. Mumps outbreaks are on the rise, said Dr. Janelle Roth, a pediatrician who is a medical officer on the mumps team at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. More than 6,000 cases of mumps were reported in the United States last year. 6,000. Are you scared, honey? 6,000 cases out of, 7 billion people? 6,000 cases. The highest number in 10 years. Around 2010, total annual cases were down in the hundreds. Interesting. Most of the recent cases occurred in outbreaks, including a large one in Arkansas. Rather than as a sporadic here a case or there a case disease, and most of the outbreaks were among people 18 to 22 years old, most of whom had the requisite thank you, requisite 2 doses of mumps vaccine in childhood. We are seeing it in we are seeing it in a young and highly vaccinated population, Dr. Ruth said. Wow, that just wasn't rolling well. In my world, you can date people by their childhood disease. I am too young to have had measles, but old enough to have had mumps and chickenpox. Chickenpox, I remember, as particularly itchy and unpleasant. Mumps, I remember, for the swollen chipmunk cheeks, and as with tonsillitis, a certain amount of ice cream to make painful swallowing easier. Mumps is a virus that causes swelling in the parotoid glands, parotid, P-A-R-O-T-I-D.
Parotid?
Parotid, thank you, glands. The salivary glands. Salivary glands?
Oh, my goodness.
I'm having one of those reading nights.
Listen, so the scariest thing about mumps,
well, this is important. No,
legitimately, is that
you could die.
The fever that you get from it can cause brain damage. And for the people that have died from mumps, I mean, you're talking like third world country, malnourished, ill cared for human beings. So when you're taking your kid to some white bread freaking first world country doctor and he's telling you, oh, well, you should get this vaccine to prevent an illness that could kill your child. I mean, it's mostly fear-mongering because honestly, the issues that and the repercussions from the vaccine itself far outweigh what your child would go through in their 20s even contracting mumps. It's definitely a treatable illness. You're going to be out for a week, but I mean, it's something that's you can easily recover from it. As long as you maintain yourself and you watch your fever, it's not really a big deal. Well, and so I think what we're getting at, again, with vaccinations is you have to do your homework. You have to decide if the risk is worth the reward. You should look at the symptoms from the illness that you're getting the vaccination for, and you should look at, the possible scenarios that could come from getting the vaccine itself. You should also look at the efficacy of the vaccines. It a lot of times isn't even worthwhile getting the vaccine, as you can see with all these cases of people that have got mumps after they got their vaccinations.
Well, and that's a big thing Christopher talks about.
They all ran their proper course, still got mumps. So now, not only are they dealing with mumps, but they're also dealing with whatever repercussions they might have had from those vaccinations. Right. And yeah, it's not going to be every single person, and everybody's different. But in the case where your body responded to it in a not good way, I mean, now you're screwed. You can't reverse it. You can't unvaccinate yourself.
Well, most people don't realize that Christopher is vaccine damaged. He's been kicked out of vaccine groups, anti-vaccine groups, the mothers groups and stuff like that because, he's not a mother. He doesn't have a child. He doesn't have to make that decision.
So stupid.
But people don't realize he's been actually damaged. He's been harmed by what happened to him. And I am working with him to get a show together. He's going to be doing a show here on Raz very soon. I can't wait to have him get that together because it should be a very interesting show. But the vaccine debate, and I don't really want to get too deep into the vaccine debate because we have to have that with Matt very soon. But
can we have Christopher Wyatt on when we do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Because what?
Awesome.
Christopher lives in Syracuse, which is where Matt is. So if we get the two of them in one studio, but then I can't really control their audio, so I'd rather them be separate.
No, but to have them both on would be great.
Yeah, that would be fun. And I was very acceptable of all these things when I was younger.
Accepting?
accepting of all these things when I was younger.
Mhm.
I mean, I very, very, very much was. I went and got all my vaccines. So I got vaccinated to the teeth when I was in the military. You know, when I joined the military, I got all those vaccines. I got sick along with the rest of my unit while we were in a reception station waiting to go to basic training right after we got vaccines. There's a story I have pulled up over here to talk about how all the Marines have some kind of disease all of a sudden. They've all got this stomach flu. Was it something they got from the vaccine? You know, was
Yeah.
it?
Well, a lot of common problems with, especially all the vaccinations that the military get are initially flu-like symptoms, but then after that, a lot of them do suffer digestive problems, and that is a common problem overall with vaccinations, as it causes intestinal issues.
But that's part of the problem I'm having, you know.
And
Don't-
what's
you know.
odd too is, they're finding this link with autistic children, and
And
that
stomach
they're
problems.
finding that they all commonly have these same sorts of intestinal issues, and they're attributing it.
This
to
is the Wakefield study.
Autism.
This is the Wakefield study
but they're
that was.
not attributing it to vaccinations.
But here's the problem, and here's where one of the biggest arguments when you get into the vaccination argument, right? We, people that are educated, people that have paid attention, the people that study things, realize that Dr. Wakefield did do a study. He might have not done everything to 100% proper way, but he's been vindicated because it has shown a connection to autism and digestive problems. And that's all his study was talking about. His study was not about vaccines per se. His study was about digestive problems of children with autism. And he correlated that to a majority of them that had that digestive problem had a full round of vaccines. Majority, the MMR was the biggest one. So that is shown, and we can go to the correlation here with the Vaxxed movie and the whistleblower from the CDC.
I hate to attach Wakefield to anything because I feel like it's putting us a step back.
Well, he's been part of the conspiracy community for a long time, but he has been vindicated. He has his study had. You know, him and his partner lost their license. Well, his partner's license has been reinstated since, I think it was 2015. His partner's license was reinstated, which means his license should be reinstated because based on what they were claiming they lied or falsified has been proven truthful since then.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that
Ross just texted that his cousin ended up getting alopecia after the MMR shot. And alopecia, for those that don't know, is a balding condition where your hair just starts falling out, and usually circular patches or large patches on your head, on your face, wherever. It can be anywhere, but there's just a multitude of issues that can come from it. I mean, it's a foreign entity that you're putting into your body, and your body has to respond to it in some way, shape, or form.
It's not something that's intended to be there. It isn't meant to be there. Your body.
But there are situations where it works.
Well, your body's made to do what your body's made to do. Yes, there are bodies that are damaged that can't combat these strains, and honestly, I think our own interjection, and when I say our own, I mean humanity's interjection, our belief that we are smarter than the God or the person that created us. Once you feel that you've moved beyond, you think you're smarter than that one that made us, whoever it be, whether it be a God, whether it be an alien, whether it be whatever it be. Where our bodies are designed to do certain things. And we have hampered the ability of our body to do its job properly.
I'm not sure if I wholeheartedly agree with it in that respect. whether we were created or evolved or what have you is left for debate. And I don't think that getting a vaccination is an effort to outsmart God. I think that it's part of science and evolution, and we're going to find new things to put in our bodies, just like people do drugs, just like people drink alcohol. You know, we're testing every little thing that we can come up with, all these little concoctions. But the thing is just because a doctor's giving it to you doesn't make it good for you. And I think most people can agree with that when it comes to medications, when it comes to procedures, surgical procedures, when it comes to vaccinations. But the biggest problem is that the thing with vaccinations is that it's such a huge lie. These doctors are not educated enough on the outcomes of these vaccinations. People are not educated enough.
That's what I was about to say.
You know,
you said
you're doing it out of fear. When you're having your children vaccinated, you're doing it out of fear because you think, oh my God, if I don't do it, they're going to die, or I'm going to be responsible for getting all these other people sick.
Right. Or I'm going to lose my children to
there's
CPS.
There's going to be a witch hunt out there for me. You know, and they will make you feel that way. That there are pediatricians that will make you feel badly for just uttering, you know, a few words like, I think I want to hold off. And when I do decide to vaccinate, I'm probably just going to do one at a time. You get a look of disgust back at you because you're questioning me.
Right. You're not educated as I am. You should not. You should not be questioning
read a couple
anything.
of articles on the internet. I mean, they just, it's
if
tough.
you guys have a thought on this, 941-421-0401 or Raz Radio 1 if you're on Skype. 941-421-0401 or Raz Radio 1. I mean, you're welcome to give us your thought on it. You know, I'm of the extreme. Lexi's much more laid back and understanding than I am. But, you know, I have a problem with forcing it. You know,
I have a problem with that, too. I mean, in some states where it's mandated and there is no out, and if you don't have it done, you can't go to school. I mean, there's even some colleges where you can't attend college if you don't have certain vaccinations. There are some, especially hospitals, doctors' offices, they'll tell you, you know, if you don't get your flu vaccination, you're not getting your Christmas bonus, and you'll be wearing a mask for the entire season. I mean, that's just bullshit, honestly. That kind of stuff is where I get pissed off. And that's where the problem is that it is forced, and everyone is so ill-educated on this stuff. I mean, you think back about things that are FDA approved, and you want to make sure things have been inspected. Like, our food gets inspected before it comes into the country.
Yeah, let's trust our government.
In stores. But there is not nearly enough information. There's not nearly enough real, unbiased research that's done on these vaccinations. And they're the standard. They're the standard. Every man, woman, and child born today should have all of these vaccinations, but we don't know shit about it. Not really, except what we were told, and that you better do it or you're going to get sick or get somebody else sick. It's such bullshit. It really is.
And that's where most of the problem is.
And getting your head out of that is hard. I mean, even for us, we've done our homework on this. A lot of homework on this.
We go back and forth on stuff sometimes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Not vaccines, but I mean, we do go back and forth on things. And there at the beginning,
I mean, we did get the first few rounds, and I regret those, but
we went through an issue. I mean, listen, we had to put Mikey on a nebulizer. Oh, no, it wasn't a nebulizer. Yeah, it was a nebulizer with steroids, which once we stopped vaccinating, which, you know, it went away. You know, he had childhood asthma that I personally believe was brought on by the vaccines. That's right why we started vaccinating or stopped vaccinating, is because of that.
Right. They did 3 at once, all in a row. And then all of a sudden, he developed this wheezing cough, which would not go away.
It's horrible.
And
I felt so bad for him.
It turned into
Kyle had the same
asthma.
problem. Kyle had the same issue.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
I had to lay. Remember, I had to lay with Mikey.
We had to take
and
a break from all that and figure our shit out. And when I started reading into all that stuff, it scared me straight.
And this was
I mean,
before we did what we're doing now. This is well before we ever discussed
Well
all
before.
this stuff. Before we were
Yeah.
the crazy conspiracy people, that were.
Not crazy.
Well, I'm crazy. I'll admit I'm crazy.
You're
If you don't want to
crazy.
admit, that's fine. I can take the craziness. Sorry, your dad's yelling on Twitter about me reading. Reading alert, reading alert.
Ugh, it's awful.
Yeah, I
Just
know.
don't.
Well, I try every once in a while. Something which ties into the vaccine thing, and something I want to make sure we address, because we've got Scott Ricker joining us soon, so, we'll be able to flow very easy then, because he'll do most of the talking.
Thanks a lot.
Well, you can talk with Scott all you want, but, This story came across me. It's a Bloomberg story, and it's how doctors are getting rich on urine tests for patients with opioids. And I just thought about this, and basically, to sum up the story, they're talking about how these doctors are prescribing opioids and then going and opening up urinalysis centers to test for opioids. So they're prescribing the drug.
But who's paying them for that? Who's paying for opioid pee?
Companies that are hiring employees, the government.
I don't
that are
understand how
testing.
that all revolved into itself like that.
Specialist labs in an industrial park in Brentwood, Tennessee, not far from Nashville, most days bring more than 700 of the little sealed cups from clinics across 10 states, wrapped in red-tagged waste bags. The network treats about 48,000 people each month and may well be tested for drugs. Gloved lab techs keep busy inside the carnivorous facility, piping smaller urine samples into tubes. Blah, 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 blah. The point is, these are doctors that are opening up urinalysis centers to test for opioids, to test for heroin. They're doing drug test centers. So doctors that are prescribing these drugs that may be part of the pill farms are capitalizing off of testing people to see if they have these drugs in them or not. You don't find this, weird?
I'm just trying to put the link together, and maybe my brain's a little bit fried today, but if they're going to get a urinalysis for a job, right?
Right.
They were going to get it
All right.
done whether they were doing opioids or not.
Let me read this.
I don't get the link between the doctors prescribing the opioids and opening up a
Let me read this
urinalysis
one.
center,
I just found a good.
guess.
I found a good section here to read.
Okay.
Urine testing has become particularly lucrative for doctors who operate their own labs. In 2014-2015, Medicare paid $1 million or more for drug-related tests billed by health professionals at more than 50 pain management practices across the U.S. at a dozen practices. Medicare billing were twice that high. 31 pain practitioners received 80% or more of their Medicare income from urine testing. So basically, if you're a pain practitioner, right, you're a pain doctor. That's your job. You manage pain, which we have a lot of them around here.
Right.
You're going to do urinalysis testing to ensure that they're not taking marijuana, to ensure that they're not taking heroin or any other kind of illegal drug. So you're billing Medicaid to test these patients that you're about to give heroin to, basically, because opium.
So they're knowingly
billing Medicare
for what will be a failed drug test, and they know it'll be a failed drug test. Is
Right.
what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily.
Like they're taking down 80% of the profits from that. Is what you're saying?
31,
knowing that they're going to
31 pain practitioners receive 80% or more of their Medicare income from urine testing.
Okay, their income. Okay, well, I mean,
But that's government funding. That's Medicare funding coming from us to ensure that these people are not on marijuana.
If it's
But
not,
when
if
they
it's
do
not
this,
there, I mean, it's going to be somewhere else.
When
so
they do
they're
this
just finding another
urinalysis
way to
test.
make money. I mean, so what?
so you're okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
It's going to be spent anyway, right?
I guess so. I
So
mean,
no big deal.
I don't know.
Hey,
I
it's expensive to become a doctor.
but
They got to pay it back.
But should it be expensive to be a doctor? I mean, let's be honest here on that comment there alone. Should it be expensive? Again, 941-421-0401 if you want to add your 2 cents to our stupidity. Scott Rickard will be joining us in the second hour, which I'm sure he's got a lot to add to our stupidity. But, I mean, honestly.
Why are you being confrontational about
I'm not
that?
being confrontational.
I'm just
I think
stating a fact.
What,
It
the
is-
people are
it's
addicted to
a
drugs and they
great
like
deal
it?
expensive to become a doctor, and if they found a second avenue
But
to make
should
income,
should it be a great deal expensive to become a doctor? Should it be? Because keep in mind, let's go to the 1900s, the 1800s, the 1700s. Your doctor was your dentist. He was the one that took care of your medical problems. Your dentist. That's a true fact. You can research that and see that in history.
going way back, your barber was.
Well, that's even more true. That's a great point. Your barber had more education on how your body should function. So, do our modern-day doctors care about how our bodies should function, or do they care about the drug they can give you to make your body function the way it should?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of every single
I'm
doctor
asking
ever.
you a question.
I think we can make our presumptions, but I think
Oh,
everyone
give me
is
your
different,
presumption.
including doctors.
Give me your presumption then. Do you think doctors nowadays focus on making the body better, or do they focus on giving you something to make $1 and make you think you feel better?
I think that varies a great deal. I think, human beings, doctors included, are all different. Some people go to work to make money, and some people go to work to help others, I guess. At the end of the day, a job is meant to be there to make an income. Now, ethically...
Wait, hold on. Now, if you're going to be a doctor, that's not just a
Can
job.
I
That's not just a
finish?
job,
Can I
sweetheart.
finish?
All right, go ahead, finish. Go ahead. Ethically, you were saying ethically.
Ethically speaking, I mean, if you're going to go into line of work like social worker, doctor, pediatrician, life coach, you have a duty to, actually give a shit and care about what's going to happen to that person. And if you're able to help them or make life better for them, then I think that you should make it your duty to do that. But I don't think that all doctors are necessarily going to do that. And again, there's a whole brainwashing system that goes on I mean, there's so much schooling. And when you want to talk about indoctrination, I mean,
Happens in schooling.
it happens in college too, for sure. And the whole we've talked about this before with doctors and their pharmaceuticals and their vaccinations, and when they're educated on that, they're just taught, this is what you prescribe for this, and this is what you vaccinate.
Well, they're not
for
taught that.
this.
They're told that by the drug reps. The hot girl
well,
with the big
new
boobs.
drugs, yeah.
The hot girl with the
new
big
drugs,
boobs comes
yes.
in and says,
The new
"Hey,
vaccinations,
give
yeah.
this to your patients. They'll like it. And they'll make them feel
Well,
good."
yeah, they're selling,
That's what happens nowadays.
They're selling product for a multi-billion-dollar industry. Of course, they're going to be hot and drive BMWs and have big boobs. I mean, what do you want?
And come in with lunch. When I was in the restaurant business, we used to get a regular order from drug reps, and they would come in and they'd be going to doctors' offices, and I'm talking $200, $300, $400 lunch orders, steaks, whatever, crab legs, whatever we had on the menu, and they'd be picking this shit up. And this was in the early 2000s, late 99s, the late 90s, that they'd be picking this stuff up and bringing it to doctors. $200, $300, $400 lunches to sell their drug of choice to that doctor.
Yeah, well, it's what you do. You gotta schmooze. They're there to make money. Look, pharmaceutical reps, probably not the best people on the planet. But, I mean, that's their job, is to sell. And, yeah, they're going to buy
That's
those
a prostitute's
doctors
job, too, though, is to
whatever
sell.
they
I
want.
mean, just saying.
I mean,
The pimp says, you better give me that money, bitch. She's going to sell that body.
I mean, bitch gonna make some money.
Well, bitch better make some money or else she's going to get beat down. That beat down's coming, motherfucker.
Every once in a while you come across a good pimp.
One with a light hand? A little light-handed pimp tonight?
Light-handed pimp.
Oh, my
keep
goodness.
70% instead of 60.
Oh, that's true. I do want to briefly get into the. I have it pulled up here. Where is it? I got to figure out. I got like all these tabs. I didn't think I like started opening tabs up like crazy because I didn't know if I was gonna have anybody joining with me tonight. It was kind of like, do I have anybody helping me tonight? Oh shit! Damn it! I probably just closed it. Oh, here it is. How about that? I didn't close it. I want to address this before the break. Then we got Scott Rickard joining us in the next segment. Just gotta make sure I have that turned up. I want to cover this briefly. It's all about stealing and idiocy and jackassness. Jackassery. I should probably put this. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. If I can do this quick enough, I'm actually gonna put it up here so you guys on Twitch go to Twitch TV / Twitch TV / Sean Raz 1.
Max here for IGN News.
Shut up, douchebag. Sorry. I'm trying to transfer it over so you guys can watch it with me. I'd like you to, and honey, you like Grabba. Aren't you a Grabba fan?
I listen to Garabo every once in a while on my ride home.
Every once in a while?
Yeah.
You know he's kind of a douchebag, right? I mean, I've always thought that.
I know that's how you feel, yes.
Yes.
I don't really know him personally to, issue out such malcontent.
I'm not asking you to issue out that malcontent. Let's talk about a little bit of, God, it's amazing how people can draw things to an extreme. See, I'm trying to get it on the Twitch here for you guys. Ain't working though. Oh, I gotta hit play. Then maybe it'll get there.
Heard enticing ads on the radio.
No, you know what we're gonna do? I can't do it that way. I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna do it the other way.
Sony's PlayStation Experience
Well, this
2016.
douchebag's not talking over here. Why do I get all these wrong people talking, honey?
I don't know, because you are like the king of technical issues, I guess.
No, it's not. I just need to get more shit figured out. I need to get more shit figured out. I just need more stuff, honey. You know me. I need more stuff. All right, so let me see here. Get this going. This guy here.
Shuhei Yoshida announced that Parappa the Rapper.
That's not what I want to talk about, but that's commercial. We got to get through the commercial first. So, anyway, honey, a Texas-based insurance company and a Tampa Bay radio guy is in kind of troubles here.
Oh, yeah?
Have you heard about this with him?
No.
Yeah, you haven't?
So, where is...
Let's get to the beginning of it now. I got the commercials done. They should make this stuff flow easy for us.
On the radio, trusted the voice, and invested their money. Now the feds claim they're victims of a scam. So, where is your retirement money? Is it safe?
Some folks in the Bay Area followed the lead from a trusted voice on the radio. As senior investigator Steve Andrews found, their retirement nest eggs are now fried.
These folks thought, hey, if somebody like a popular radio or television host like Drew Garabo endorses a company and the product it's pushing, it's got to be legit, right? Wrong.
We talked about this.
Mary Hansen
Here's
cuts
the story,
grass
though.
for a living. Has for 31 years. She may be working for another 31. The money Mary was banking on for her retirement dreams...
Gone. They're gone.
Oh.
Mary Hansen is a lawn dog of she's probably about 50 50 years old, 55 years old, and she's cutting lawns to retire off of. That's what she's trying to do right now. And this is what the attachment to this is. And I have a problem with this because I used to be a Drew Garabo fan. You know my connection with Bubba. It bothers me.
What did we discuss though? Whenever we were talking about this the last time,
You and I were discussing it personally, not on air. No, we didn't discuss this on air.
Well,
this just happened this past
Was
week.
it discovered whether or not he was affiliated with this company whatsoever?
Well, that's part of the problem. It seems that he has some personal money, not investment
I know
money.
the funds to the sponsorship, basically for him to run ads for them, was cut, but he ran them anyways. I think that was the only affiliation there that could have maybe been a problem.
I think he has some investment money into the company. And
Maybe he invested some of his money into it too. Fine, but I don't think that he has anything to do with this company screwing people
I don't think
over.
the 12%.
He was just running ads for them.
He was running a guaranteed 12%.
The company's the problem.
They were giving a guaranteed 12% return. That was the ad they were running. That's what Drew Garabo was saying. A guaranteed 12% return. Guaranteed.
Oh my God. How many commercials and ads have you seen and heard in your lifetime that guarantee to make you rich quick? I mean, come on.
But
just buy this $25 self-help book or just come to this seminar and
Here's the
we'll show you how.
here's
I
the
mean, so what? That doesn't make him a monster.
All right, let's get
okay.
Let,
Note.
let me play the
Get rich quick schemes don't work. I mean,
Let me play this audio. Let me get Scott dialed up.
Fine.
I just want to get through this story real fast.
okay.
I still think he's a douchebag, and I think he's got more connection to it.
I
But
know you don't like him personally.
Sorry. And 72-year-old Anthony DeSillis will probably never see that $51,000 he had plans for.
It's horrible. It's horrible. I've been sick. I've been physically sick.
Tony and Mary repeatedly heard radio personality and TV host Drew Garabo endorse a company called C4 Benefits Group and a remarkable product C4 was pushing.
This is a game changer. Sat down with my man Jackson from C4 a couple of weeks ago. Their new product blew me away.
The new product, an investment fund called OE Capital, a Texas company, paid C4 to find investors through a radio campaign.
What if your money could grow at a minimum of 12% a year? Yep, you heard that right. The worst case scenario.
minimum
the
12%
minimum,
a year.
12%.
Would hear a #1 radio show host personally endorse this and have it not be true? I just didn't see that possible.
Now, honey, let me ask you a question. I want you to get in my world for a moment, right? Let me ask you a question. Could you imagine if that was Bubba? Imagine if that was Bubba back in that company.
I don't care.
Just,
I don't
just,
care.
But you know what we've gone through and what I've watched in my.
All these radio show hosts
Mhm,
that are all mainstream like this,
Mhm.
doing terrestrial radio,
Mhm.
they're all hired to do ads for companies. And
Yep.
you know what? Some of them aren't good companies. Some of them are bad people.
I know how this works. I grew up in this business. Don't forget. I mean, I understand that.
Okay, well,
But if
I
you-
wouldn't feel any differently.
But if you're a banker, let's say, all right, let me throw an example here, right? You didn't invest your money into this company, but you have a percentage of ownership of this company. But you're the paid advertiser, which I think is the situation here. Do you think
You don't
that
know that that's the situation,
if
though.
you have a percentage of ownership in the company, which I think is the situation here, do you
Okay,
think
so
that makes a
if
difference?
Ifs and buts. But
Do you think that makes a difference?
if I had interest in the company, if I was part owner or partner of some kind, and people were being screwed over, I would have something not nice to say about it. Yeah.
Well,
But
then I guess he
I'm
should
not so
stand up and
sure-
say something instead of going to Rob's shows and calling him a bitch when he's trying to make a couple
okay,
dollars.
well, you have a personal
Yeah, well, fuck him.
issue with
Yeah.
him. So
Fuck Drew
you
Garabo
want to
is my
make this
personal
bigger
issue.
than it is, but I don't know that he has any personal interest in the company. I honestly think that they just picked up sponsorship and that they were doing some advertising for them, and it turned out bad. It doesn't make it his fault.
When the story says Drew Garabo himself personally endorsed them, that is not an advertisement campaign endorsement. That is a personal endorsement. And it goes on to say that maybe he had a financial tie beyond the advertisement side of it.
There's a whole lot of ifs and maybes, though. I mean, and it's, to me, it's not that important. And I'm sorry those people lost their money, but I mean, the majority of well-rounded individuals know that you can't just...
Don't buy anything from Drew Garabo is what I would say. That's what most normal people would think or should know. That's just my personal opinion.
Most competent individuals know you can't just throw money at something and expect
I mean, if you want to throw
a guaranteed 12% return.
If you want to throw some money at Raz Radio, I guarantee you a 12% return of shitty content. Just throw me $200 and you'll get 12% of nothing, and you'll be happy. Right?
You're weird.
Is that too far?
But you're personally angry with the man.
I am personally.
Clearly.
I'm tired of people screwing over Bubba. Is what it is.
Oh.
It
I
bothers
think
me.
he can handle himself.
I know, but it still bothers me.
You don't
All right,
need
guys.
to let it bother you.
We got Scott Raker joining us here in a couple minutes. He's probably going, where is this idiot calling me? Why has he not called me yet? Check us out on Twitch, YouTube, Ustream, Periscope. See the video there. Find Four Toad in the middle of Guatemala, because I don't know where the F he is tonight.
Where's Dave?
Dave's not here.
Where
It's a sad
in the
thing.
world
Although,
is Dave?
congratulations, Dave, because, I know you're not happy about it, but, hey, congratulations anyway. And you know what I'm talking about if you're listening. If you're in the background going, I don't want to do this game tonight. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. You guys are listening to First 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Freely Blood, Radio Confluence, Salty Talk Radio, The D, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Ustream, all the fun places.
So many things.
It is so many. 10 different outlets. You want to listen to the First 52? You got 10 ways to do it. I mean, come on. That's pretty cool. In my world, I think that's pretty damn cool. I'll talk to you guys in a couple minutes.
Look at my crayon.
On the first two with Sean Raz, for Toad and Lexi. That's not like shit. Give me a script here. Come on, I can't do this. You're putting me under pressure. Bob, don't worry about it here. And
Dr. Bob.
Dr. Bob, yeah.
Dr. Bob Tuscan.
It's Bob Tuscan, and you're listening to the First 52 on Raz Radio with my buddies Sean Raz and Lexi Raz and that guy For Toad.
Ritz-Carlton, Riyadh.
On the morning of September 11th, 2001, 19 men armed with box cutters directed by a man on dialysis in a cave fortress halfway around the world using a satellite phone and a laptop directed the most sophisticated penetration of the most heavily defended airspace in the world, overpowering the passengers and the military combat-trained pilots on 4 commercial aircraft before flying those planes wildly off course for over an hour without being molested by a single fighter interceptor. These 19 hijackers, devout religious fundamentalists who like to drink alcohol, snort cocaine, and live with pink-haired strippers, managed to knock down 3 buildings with 2 planes in New York. While in Washington, a pilot who couldn't handle a single-engine Cessna was able to fly a 757 in an 8,000-foot descending 270-degree corkscrew turn to come exactly level with the ground, hitting the Pentagon in the Budget Analyst Office where DoD staffers were working on the mystery of the $2.3 trillion that Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld had announced missing from the Pentagon's coffers in a press conference the day before, on September 10th, 2001. Luckily, the news anchors knew who did it within minutes.
Osama bin Laden.
The pundits knew within hours.
Osama bin Laden.
The administration knew within the day.
Terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
And the evidence literally fell into the FBI's lap.
That a hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
But for some reason, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists demanded an investigation into the greatest attack on American soil in history. That investigation was delayed, underfunded, set up to fail, a conflict of interest, and a cover-up from start to finish. It was based on testimony extracted through torture, the records of which were destroyed. It failed to mention the existence of WTC-7, Able Danger, PTAC developments, OBL and the CIA, and the drills of hijacked aircraft being flown into buildings that were being simulated at the precise same time that those events were actually happening. He was lied to by the Pentagon, the CIA, the Bush administration, and as for Bush and Cheney, well, no one knows what they told it because they testified in secret, off the record, not under oath, and behind closed doors. It didn't bother to look at who funded the attacks because that question is ultimately of little practical significance. Still, the 9/11 Commission did brilliantly answering all of the questions the public had, except most of the victims' family members' questions, and pinned blame on all the people responsible, although no one so much as lost their job, determining the attacks were
failure of imagination.
Because
nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government that could envision flying airplanes into buildings.
Except the Pentagon, FEMA, NORAD, and the NRO. The DIA destroyed 2.5 terabytes of data on Able Danger, but that's okay because it probably wasn't important. The SEC destroyed their records on the investigation into the insider trading before the attacks, but that's okay because destroying the records of the largest investigation in SEC history is just part of routine record keeping. NIST has classified the data that they used for their model of WTC-7's collapse, but that's okay because knowing how they made their model of the collapse would jeopardize public safety. The FBI has argued that all material related to their investigation of 9/11 should be kept secret from the public, but that's okay because the FBI probably has nothing to hide. This man never existed, nor is anything he had to say worthy of your attention, and if you say otherwise, you are a paranoid conspiracy theorist and deserve to be shunned by all of humanity. Likewise him, and her, and her, and her, and him. Osama bin Laden lived in a cave fortress in the hills of Afghanistan, but somehow got away. Then he was hiding out in Tora Bora, but somehow got away. Then he lived in Abbottabad for years, taunting the most comprehensive intelligence dragnet employing the most sophisticated technology in the history of the world for a decade, releasing video after video with complete impunity and getting younger and younger as he did so, before finally being found in a daring SEAL team raid which wasn't recorded on video, in which he didn't resist or use his wife as a human shield, and in which these crack special forces operatives panicked and killed this unarmed man, supposedly the best source of intelligence about those dastardly terrorists on the entire planet. Then they dumped his body in the ocean before telling anyone about it. Then a couple dozen of that team's members died in a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. This is the story of 9/11, brought to you by the media which told you the hard truths about
his head could be seen to move violently forward.
And
they took the babies out of the incubators.
And
mobile production facilities.
And
the rescue of Jessica Lynch.
If you have any questions about this story, you are a batshit paranoid tinfoil dog-abusing baby hater and will be reviled by everyone. If you love your country and or freedom, happiness, rainbows, rock and roll, puppy dogs, apple pie, and your grandma, you will never ever express doubts about any part of this story to anyone. Ever. This has been a public service announcement by the Friends of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DIA, SEC, NSM, White House, NIST, and the 9/11 Commission. Because ignorance is strength.
Have you ever called into your favorite talk radio program only to encounter this? And felt like this? That never happens when you dial 941-421-0401. At RazRadioLive.com, we answer right away. And pow, you're live on the air talking to one of your favorite hosts. No screeners, no delays. Try it now. 941-421-0401 and avoid 941-421-0401. If you're a new listener or a seasoned veteran, don't be scared. 941-421-0401. We welcome all. We know how it feels to be ignored. RazRadioLive.com.
You got a little internet or podcasting show or something?
Chocolate Drop.
Hold on, buddy.
What is the Chocolate Drop a show about?
Chocolate Drop?
Drop it on us. I don't know.
I will not listen if you don't tell me what it's about.
It's about hip-hop. Red Turd Show. Politics.
Man skewing.
Music.
Hold on, buddy.
Sure.
It's every other guy that's got a podcast around here, okay? And where can people find the Chocolate Show? That's man skewing, yes?
Red Turd Show. RazRadioLive.com.
There you go. Okay, and when does it air, buddy?
Saturdays, 1 o'clock Eastern Time.
Okay, and where can people find the Chocolate Show?
RazRadioLive.com.
There you go. I wish you the best, the Chocolate Drop. And so basically, it's about every other person that's not in real radio that's trying to get in radio and do a show.
Red Turd Show.
Knock yourself out, kid.
Red Turd Show.
The
RazRadioLive.com.
There you go.
to the chemicals. They got ya, this tyranny is medical. Who shot ya? Military generals masquerade as your doctor. Pills become bullets, then they poison your water. A pharmaceutical army built to slaughter. Till men in mass come for your wife and your daughter. Whoa, now what? Here they come for the guns. And God and demons disguised as priests and nuns. Time to run, with no place to go except Honduras, with a man called Forto Jones. Skull and bones, invade the skies with robot drones. Check the infrared radar for UFOs. Silver and gold, behold the weather's controlled by genetically modified hybrid clones. Building bunkers with subjects under mind control. Injected and observed in the combat zone. Now come on.
It's the chemtrails, guys. It's the government lies. It's the poison in the water, then the media lies. It's the chemtrails, guys. It's the government lies. It's the poison in the water, then the media
About a minute and a half, 2 minutes, Scott.
Okay.
I love talking about Kennedy. I was just down in Dallas, Texas. You know, you could go down there and to Dealey Plaza where Kennedy was assassinated. And you can actually go to the 6th floor of the School Book Depository. It's a museum called the Assassination Museum. I think named that after the assassination. I can't be too sure of the chronology here, but anyway, they have the window set up to look exactly like it did on that day. And it's really accurate, you know, because Oswald's not in it. Yeah, so. Wow. Painstaking accuracy, you know. It's true. It's called a sniper's nest. It's glassed in. It's got the boxes sitting there, and you can't actually get to the window itself. And the reason they did that, of course, they didn't want thousands of American tourists getting there each year going, no fucking way! I can't even see the road! Shit, they're lying to us! Fuck! Where are they? There's no fucking way! Not unless Oswald was hanging by his toes, upside down from the ledge. Either that or some pigeons grabbed onto him, flew him over the motorcade. Surely someone would have seen that. You know, there was rumors of anti-Castro pigeons seen drinking in bars. Someone overheard them saying, coo, coo, coo.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know.
Who do you know?
Please don't make any sudden moves.
No, don't do it.
You don't know the half of the abuse. All my friends are heathens.
All right, guys, welcome back to the First 52, RazRadioLive.com, Radio Free Blood, Radio Chaos, Radio Confluence, The D, Salty Talk Radio, Twitch, Ustream, Periscope, YouTube. I don't know. Where do you want to find us? We're all over the place. Honey, you over there, honey?
I'm over here, honey.
You over there, honey? You got it? You good?
Yeah. I am.
Trying to figure out if you are or not.
I am R.
You am R? And of course, buddy, we haven't talked to you since July. I look back at the messaging and tried to figure out when we talked to our boy Scott. We haven't talked to Scott since July, honey.
Forever.
That's horrible.
I don't even think I was back yet.
No, you aren't back yet. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me back.
Good. It's always nice to hear you. It's just, I don't know. When I hear your voice, it makes me feel good.
It might have something to do, probably have more to do with what you're doing during the break.
That's possible. So what's going on in the world of Scott Rickard? Scott Rickard, Press for Truth, Veterans for Truth, or Veterans for Peace. You're all over the place. You're not unknown. You were just with Jack Blood again recently. What's going on in your world, my friend?
Well, I'm just checking into the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh. Seems pretty quiet in here.
No gunmen. No, nothing to worry about. You're okay.
No, everything's good, man. Just making some fun about the new Saudi prince. He's been very busy this week.
That's kind of why I wanted to bring you. I got a couple of reasons I wanted to bring you on board, but we heard. I guess it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. We hear about the Saudi prince that's going to start eliminating the hatred part of their religion. They're not going to be so angry. And then this week we see this massive arrest of Saudi princes and Saudi dignitaries. So what's going on, man? What dignitaries? What's going on, man?
Well, the new head of Saudi Arabia is basically taken over, from a very, I guess, aggressive behavior. And this is a guy who's authorized the coalition bombing of Yemen. He says he's cleaning up corruption. He's kind of at the core of his own corruption. I think he's just cleaning up corruption that's not working alongside him, I guess. Okay. So, and he's also gone after, unfortunately for Lebanon, the prime minister for Lebanon. So they've gone after a few individuals in Saudi Arabia, but absolutely.
We see the buildup of the Shiites against the Highlights or whatever hell the other group is.
Alawites in Syria, yeah.
Yeah, it's growing again in Lebanon. This connection with Lebanon. Are they destabilizing that region more than we need it destabilized, or is this actually something true going on?
I think Trump cut a deal with Mohammed al-Salman. He's the new cat in town, and I think what he's done is he said, "Look, why don't you guys go ahead? You're doing what we need you to do in Yemen. We failed miserably, unfortunately, in Syria, but they've got a lot of these Kurdish." The Kurdish regional government is a little bit behind them in Iraq, but they're really close with the PKK and the YPG Kurds out of Turkey, Syria, and northwestern Iraq. And I think what they're doing is they're aligning themselves with these Kurds. The Kurds are, hardened militaristically. They've been, working with the U.S. and Israel and Jordan and Saudi Arabia for quite some time. Oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. Well, even since the '60s with Israel, the current leader of the Kurds his father was very close with some of the head of the Mossad.
So is this breaking down some of that connection that we've watched over the past 20, 30 years? I don't know.
It's solidifying a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. What are they trying? What is the drive of the powers that be in that region? Why is this happening? Why are these princes being arrested? Why is all this going on? Why is this turmoil happening?
So these would be considered more moderate
They're like senators,
Saudis.
right? Or well, these guys we're talking about. Let's put them in American terms for people that are idiots that can't figure it out. These princes we're talking about are like senators, right?
Yeah, they're more like kings and queens from England. They're not necessarily elected at all. Oh, not saying
of their
that
little territories type thing.
Not saying that the U.S. Democratic Society is any more legitimate than the kings and queens of the past, but yeah, they're more or less the monarchy or the kingdom. It's by blood, and there has been in the past it's very well known a lot of assassinations and a lot of people disappearing and those types of things where they were trying to take over control of certain areas. Now this guy's more overtly doing it. He's doing it because a lot of the moderate type of Saudi leaders, both in and outside, when you look at the Prime Minister of Lebanon. Now this guy was a Saudi national, even though he was heading up the prime minister seat in Lebanon. So that tells you something about who's been pulling some strings in Lebanon. And that's why you hear in the news all of this negative rhetoric around Hezbollah, because Hezbollah is very much like what we would consider in this country the 3%. Right. This is a group of guys who got together and said, look, we don't like our government. We don't like our military. We're going to create our own military. We're going to create our own defense. And they're a militia.
Well, Hezbollah and Iran allegedly is who's attacking Saudi Arabia right now. I don't know if there's any accuracy there, but that's what they're saying.
That's the garbage that they feed you on your television. Yeah.
Right.
The fact is that Hezbollah it's a militia. It's like a bunch of Americans owning their weapons and wanting to defend their country, and it's a group that's become extremely organized. They're not very large. There are thousands of troops, not tens of thousands of troops. They are very well trained and very these guys helped overthrow the terrorist organizations or mercenaries, I should say, that were hired by Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Jordan, the United States, Israel, CIA. The whole operation in Syria was, originally before the Ba'ath Party, got involved and they started to talk about this caliphate that really came out.
The Ba'ath Party. People forget about Iraq in the beginning,
right.
and that whole conversation. As you say that, it really clicked in my head. You go, wait,
right.
The Ba'ath Party. Wait, those were the bad guys at one point in time too, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they got involved with a lot of the guys that we brought in. So we brought in some guys from.
Nope. Did we get too serious? I think we just lost Scott again. I hate when that shit happens. We did. If you're watching on Twitch, you can see my Skype screen is just going stupid. It's God forbid we get into an intelligent conversation and actually share some good information, honey.
That's not allowed.
That's not allowed. Oh, I gotta get over here. I gotta get back over to this computer. Remember, I got multiple screens I'm dealing with here. Gonna try to Sorry, call with Scott Rickard failed. Although we're on it.
Okay, let's not go get all conspiracied out.
You're going to get me all pissed off. I'm going to get all pissed off on my own. See if I can get him back. See, this is why I like having Scott on. I love Scott. I love having him on. Scott, you there, buddy? Do we have you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
The CIA
yes,
they will not end us. We will continue this broadcast. If it's by tooth or nail, we will do this broadcast, my friend.
No, I just my internet bill.
Damn it. I want to blame the government. You're going to tell me it's your internet, Scott.
I'm just kidding.
That really
damn it.
kills the conspiracy part of it, my friend.
Lay on my Spectrum payment.
We're talking about the bad. Hey, you just keep your shorts on, okay? I don't want to see you without shorts on again.
Oh my God!
So we're talking about the Ba'ath Party.
Yeah.
Stays at Razfest. Just
Stays at Razfest. Did he?
Lord.
He's like, oh my God, I've got to talk about this.
Don't.
Go ahead, Scott. He's got better internet. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think where you came for because of the for bringing it in when they brought in these Uzbeks. These are a bunch of people that were really, thousands of folks came in as mercenaries that were, you have to remember that the Americans were using, Afghan and Uzbekistan individuals when we fought the war in Afghanistan. And, these guys absolutely hate the Russians, and on top of they can't even, the guy just in Uzbekistan, and so these guys have had uprising, and this is a 97% Sunni country. And, they had great, out of that country.
See, what
These guys already.
What a lot of people don't understand is the divide between the Shiite and the Sunnis, and that whole region. A lot of the
it's not necessarily.
happens.
No, it's not. It wasn't necessarily that. It was the fact that they knew that it was a Russian bastion. They knew that because the Russians were involved in Syria. They knew that they could. Other guys that were going to go to war. These guys were already hardened war combatants. They'd fought in Afghanistan alongside Americans, and they knew that they were going to be making money. I mean, the average Uzbek made $50 a month. So they're like, what do you mean? I can make $1,000 a month? That's a whole year's salary. So they're basically jumping on board. It's 2 years' salary in a month. So they're jumping on board, going in. And they think they got the backing of the CIA. They've got the backing of Turkey. They're going in and out of Turkey. At least, going out for meals. Smoking hookahs. Having a ball, and going in and out of the. They're getting paid a boatload of money.
Well, Scott. Scott, the Cubans thought they had the backings of the Americans in 1961, 1962 when they were doing the Bay of Pigs. I want to redirect real briefly because this is something I wanted to discuss with you also. So if you don't mind me redirecting,
do it. It's your show.
What? Good point. What have you read any of the JFK files? And what is your thought on the mass release that we have seen over the past 2-3 weeks now? They've released all this information on MLK. They've released all this JFK information. They've released all this Bay of Pigs. Do you think they're overly releasing to try to get everybody to just shut up and be confused? Or have you seen anything, or have you even paid attention to any of this?
Cursory, I've heard some other people talking about different things. The only thing that really stuck out to me is that they basically flat out denied that Oswald had any connection to the intelligence community and was operating independently. And I know for a fact that's not true. I've spoken personally with Judith Baker, his girlfriend. She was weaponizing cancer when Oswald. Think about it. You had a Russian linguist, a military guy who defects to Russia. Goes through Finland, which is a very friendly Western country.
We're talking about a linguist himself right now.
What's that?
You're a code breaker and a linguist when you were in the Air Force, right?
That's correct.
We're
that's
talking
correct.
to somebody who's kind of the same type of person. I mean,
right,
I'm not
right.
comparing you to Oswald, but you get my point, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a pretty good shot too, so don't piss me off. But
hey, I don't know what you're shooting with, okay?
Hey, you know I got a nice weapon. You've seen it. Any case, but this guy, he defects to Russia as a linguist, right? And then all of a sudden he's back in the United States passing out pro-Castro pamphlets and dating a girl that's weaponizing cancer. This is pretty odd, and I can tell you for a fact, if anybody that's a linguist, quote unquote defects to Russia. Now, another thing is that he worked on what they call the downlink SIGINT collection platform. It was the U2 platform, and he was able to configure a mobile-based receiver for receiving intelligence off the U2. It just so happens while he was over in Russia, the Russians were successful in shooting down the U2 when they shot down Gary Powers.
Right.
Now, that's coincidental, Well, it's also the fact that, the Russians might have been given that information by Oswald on purpose so that we could, monitor and test their abilities on their surface-to-air missiles, because, we wanted that information pretty bad, if you ask me. So they, it's like, all right, Mr. Powers, Oswald's given them the information, so you're probably going to get hit, so get ready to eject. These guys are at 60,000 feet in spacesuits.
Scott, let me ask you a question here. All right,
Yeah.
You're an older guy. You've been through a bunch of stuff. You've got a lot of understanding of the world.
Yeah.
Do you? What are the connections you see today that when you were a 20-year-old man, just getting into all this, just learning? What are the connections that you can see today?
Well, okay, so when I was 20, I didn't see anything. I mean, I could barely get up in the morning after drinking so much to get to work on time.
So be it. I understand.
Yeah,
that.
so to be honest with you, it was more or less,
But you get my question, though. My question is, what as a growing man, as somebody who has been through so much. Well, no, he's still a growing man.
Nice.
You're always growing, honey.
You're right, because I just had all I can eat bottomless pasta at Olive Garden, for God's sakes.
But you get my question. What in the world from 1975 till 2017.
Man, you got it, man. You know what year you're in now. Awesome.
It took a lot for me to figure out what year it was.
That was, man. I was getting ready to get a crowbar out.
But you get my question, right? You understand my question. My
I do.
question is, the society is so fucked up.
Let me give you perspective. I mean, so at 76, obviously I was in ninth grade, but as I got into the military, I was like, I heard Carter was going to pull the troops out of South Korea. Come to find out, the only reason we were saying that was because we'd crashed a helicopter over the DMZ, and we wanted our soldiers back. So he was kind of, basically lying to the North Koreans to bring them back. At the same time, I have the military telling me that they want me to study Korean, become a Korean linguist, and I'm like, hell, I don't know anything about Korea. I mean, I knew we had a war there, and that's about it. So we had a pretty cursory education growing up, and that was about, by the time I was in the military. And then, honestly, the pieces really didn't start to come together. I was starting to see some things in my late 20s, 10 years later, working at NSA, and then saying, wait a second, these guys are saying this happened, this didn't happen like that. Wait, these guys are saying, this Iran-Contra thing has happened like this didn't happen like that. And I was like, this is a bunch of bunk, and that's when I really...
That never happened.
Well, see, I didn't know any of that until after I left.
I hate when I
Talked to different, guys, retired and, former military folks. And then, to be honest with you, I'm sitting there on the beach in the late 90s, and one of the guys, was talking to me, and I said, yeah, well, I was just, talking to one of my buddies about the USS Liberty. He goes, man, he says, you're the first person I ever talked to that knew anything about the USS Liberty. And it turns out his father was the number one arms dealer with Adnan Khashoggi. And his father was the one that financed Dead in the Water, the first film put out about the deliberate attack by the Israelis on the USS Liberty.
Wow. See,
I'm like,
I
I'll
don't
be damned.
understand that, dude. Like, the USS Liberty, I think that's a story that a lot of people need to pay more attention to. We're coming up on the anniversary of it again.
It was in June, actually, earlier.
Well, yeah, so the anniversary already happened. The point is, you need to pay better attention to it, Scott.
You got the year right, though, man. This is just so you know, this is November. I'm just trying to help you out.
Listen, I have enough problem keeping my day-to-day functions going.
Turkeys are on sale at Winn-Dixie.
Oh, jeez. But the problem with the USS Liberty, and here's something I'm going to start doing here. Do you know what Twitch is, Scott? Have you heard of Twitch, Scott? Twitch yet?
Yeah, that's why I got my medical marijuana license.
No, not that Twitch. Jesus.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Twitch is a video streaming service, so which started as like a video game thing. And I do my doc days. Every once in a while I'll do like a doc day where I'll play a bunch of documentaries. Well, this service will allow me to stream the video of those documentaries.
Nice.
Which means the documentaries about the USS Liberty
Nice.
can be seen and discussed in a different format. So will this bring attention to these things? I mean, those.
Well, I mean, it depends on how much attention is brought to our channels. I mean, unfortunately, the channels that come up, on your televisions are, far more, broad an audience. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, you can go, pretty much to one of the largest YouTube channels on the planet. You got RT, Russian television, and most Americans are almost completely unaware of the information that's on that. So it's you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Unfortunately, that's what we're up against.
That is true. That is true. So I want to touch on you, Scott, also on current events. We've got some.
Hold on, I got Donna Brazil calling me. She's got some breaking news.
No, I'm serious. I mean, current events. Right. Current events. We have things we're looking at, things that are bothersome. We have 58 people gunned down at a music concert a couple of months ago, or a month ago or so.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah.
We have 26 people gunned down at a church.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on some of these current events, or just in life in general? Like, where is Scott Rickard stand on life in general?
Well, unfortunately, if it happened in a Chicago neighborhood, and it wasn't, a suburban white neighborhood, it probably wouldn't be such big news.
Sure.
And obviously, it happens in any Arab country. It's absolutely not news at all. It happens all the time, unfortunately, over there. So I would say this. I'd say, the loss of responsibility in this country, has gone, at a huge rate. I mean, look at companies. I say, like I've said this in the past, like Kellogg Company and Post and those companies. Those companies were built by guys that were trying to make food to help the mentally ill, and they actually had asylums back then where they put individuals like these guys that are given jobs and then throw them back out into society. I don't think we do a very good job vetting the human race anymore. We take the people that are sick and kick them back out in the street and say, get a job.
Right.
And obviously this Pollock guy is going to be different than the other. I can't remember the Kelly kid.
I don't remember the douchebag's name from Texas.
But I really don't care about their names. But one guy is going to be different than the other because the circumstances of their lives.
Right.
Obviously, they've got upbringings, they got families. They've got all kinds of things.
As a former military person yourself, as a former Air Force person yourself, do you find it disturbing that the Air Force did not report the proper information to prevent this guy from having a gun?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, there's no preventing anyone from having a gun. I mean, we live in a very gun-free society. I can go to a gun show and get a gun right now. So, I mean, I'm not really as opposed to. I like to have gun education. I'd like to see a rifle range in every school.
Well, didn't we have that at one time? I seem to remember guys driving with gun racks in the back of their trucks.
Yeah, I took my gun to school. I mean, I took my rifle to school and I checked it in the Army.
I remember guys doing the same thing when I was in school. So
and you could leave it in your truck if you as long as it was in the locked and unloaded position.
Russia still does this very, very stringently, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have no problems. As long as there's education. There's I've been to firing ranges all over the country, and I've never had an incident, never seen an incident, never even heard of an incident at a firing range. What we get is guns in the hands of people that have some sort of disorder, and And that's the thing, because we're not managing people's sicknesses anymore. We're medicating, and the pharmaceutical industry. You know, I point my finger at them. I've got tons and tons of people that I know that have lost relatives and children with OxyContin and such. The Americans are basically taking on the role of the Chinese.
And you're talking about people that didn't go up and shoot up a school or anything. You're talking about
No,
people that
I'm not saying
overdosed
that.
on a drug that was prescribed to them by a doctor.
Right. More people are dying from that than any of these gun shootings. So
Right.
the real epidemic to me is not gun control. It's pharmaceutical control. That's the epidemic. And to focus on this, obviously some nutbag, and as soon as the nutbag's Arab, it's terrorism. You take a nutbag from Uzbekistan, by the way, like I was mentioning earlier. This is a guy that knows the story and knows the history, how the Americans have been raping Uzbekistan, and then comes to the United States for 5 or 6 years and, sees the Americans totally destroy Libya, sees the Americans totally destroy Libya, as totally destroys Syria and Yemen. And it's just like, I'm not condoning what he did, but I mean, take a look in the mirror, America. You're not, it's not our fault that he did this, but we're certainly not making it any easier for someone to love us.
We're not the prom queen in the background with our skirt pulled up and the black eye because
Nothing
our
honorable.
boyfriend beat us. We're the boyfriend beating the whore.
Yeah, we're the boyfriend beating the girl, and then there's some weakling kid that comes along and tries to fight us, and we pound him to the ground. I mean, yeah, that's the problem, and that's we are definitely the bullies on the planet. And if anybody wants to argue that, they have absolutely no understanding of what the Americans are up to around the world.
What is on Scott Rickard's radar? What have you been talking about? What has been your main talking point recently?
Well, I've been trying to finagle my way back into the intelligence community, seeing if they got the nuts to give me a security
You're
clearance.
a friend with me, man. Yeah, this is not gonna happen. I'm sorry. I fucked you up. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry about it. I can get past all that. But anyway,
I'll put the pictures away. I promise.
Yeah. Can you just degauss that hard drive for me,
delete
please?
those pictures.
Yeah, I need you to. I'm going to send Hillary Clinton down to wipe it clean for me.
Hey, you better make sure. Listen.
She's got some good easy wipes.
You get big up in the thing there. No matter what I'm talking about, you better make sure I'm safe. All right. Don't let me get killed.
Yeah, nobody's safe. Just get that clear for you. Nobody's safe.
Scott said, "Fuck you. I'm not protecting your dumb ass."
Yeah. I got kids, man. I'm not. I'm worried more about my kids than the Raz Fest.
My kids too, all right?
Well, then my advice to you is go to the gun range.
All right. I can do that. I'm okay with that.
Protect yourself.
Well, you know what? That's what we have to do. Unfortunately, and well, maybe it's not unfortunately. Maybe that's how it should be. That's the day and age we're in. You should protect yourself. You should defend your family. You should defend your friends, and that's the way life should be. That's the way we should be living.
Well,
not
slow
these
down a
little
little bit
fucking
because
cowards in the corner.
you're starting to sound like my crazy uncle. This guy listens to Imus in the morning and Rush Limbaugh, and so you got to slow down. You can't go too far that way.
Scott, I love you to death, but please don't put me in that character.
I know, but you started to sound like him, man. He's like, yeah. Every time I go in the store, I look around because there's danger around every corner.
Well, you know what? Not that I want to agree with him, but listen, you need to start thinking that.
I'm always looking for my exit strategy.
You should.
I said, do you ever forget what you're in the store for?
I think I do that every once in a while.
You definitely do
that's my job, though, honey. Could you not admit when we walk into the store, what's my job?
Your job?
That's my job, to make sure you and our son can shop and be protected. My job is to watch around.
He's packing to heat.
Are we gonna get dumbed down at Publix?
Yeah. You never know. You never know that those Walmart mops, man, they're crazy mad.
Listen. They sent some fucking MK Ultra dude to gun down a church on Sunday.
Oh, come on, MK Ultra. This guy was unfortunately
An Air
just
Force douchebag? Is that what
he's just a punk who was pissed off at his in-laws. So.
You really think it was just pissed off at the in-laws?
Yeah, people do stupid things over family fucking feuds, man. That's sad.
Scott, did you see the change of?
Ever hear of the Hatfields and McCoys?
Listen, Scott. I know you're not the conspiracy guy. And
No, you guys got to stop
support
drinking that conspiracy juice. I got a guy named Jim Jones, man. He could take you to paradise.
Listen. I get you're not the conspiracy guy, but here's my issue with this whole story.
Yeah.
All right. There's too many incidences where.
You can't even say incident.
Incidences.
Okay, you got it. I thought you said incenses. I'm sorry.
No, we're not smoking weed yet. You're not here. When we're here, we'll smoke some weed. And then
Oh,
I'll
there
grow
goes my
the
clearance.
incense,
Now you just
okay?
blew it. God darn it. No, but I was using it for medical purposes.
Listen, here's how it goes down.
Usually.
Here's how it goes down, my friend. They get these idiots, okay? They get these simple-minded people. Look at the pictures of this guy. This guy was somebody that should have been put in a mental hospital and not given a gun.
True.
The Air Force mistakenly doesn't put his paperwork. The guy's dishonorably discharged from the Air Force, all right?
Yep.
For beating his wife and kid.
I know.
The Air Force mistakenly doesn't put the paperwork through to the FBI that prevents him from buying a gun that he goes and shoots up a hospital or a church with.
Church, yeah.
All right. So now we're at a situation where you got a guy that probably shouldn't have had a gun anyway because he was kicked out of the Air Force for being a fucking asshole, that gets a gun, that shoots up a church, that is now part of the narrative. It's not okay, Scott. That doesn't line up, man. That's where my problem lines up.
Well,
the Air
I
Force
understand that the
mistakenly-
Air Force makes mistakes, and they make a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, these are people who are arming, rebels and arming mercenaries around the world illegally too. So I don't expect them to do things very,
So my conspiracy
very
theory is not
efficiently.
too far off. If the Air Force actually arms somebody to cause disruption in our own country because we're doing it in other countries, that's not a far-fetched conspiracy, really.
No, I'm saying you're giving them too much credit to be more strategic like that. The fact is that there's plenty of individuals that are, Oswald's a great example. I mean, here's a guy who is a willing participant, right? Mm-hmm. This is a guy who knows, for example, somebody that wants to get rid of Obama. I'm sure we had plenty of guys that would have gotten in that line.
Pre-MK Ultra.
Not even MK Ultra.
Oswald would be pre-MK Ultra.
The problem is you have guys that want to do this just because they want to be on the side that wins. It's like can I put me in, coach? I'm good at this. I've been training my whole life to do this. I'm the ultimate warrior. So I mean unfortunately that's not a hard.
But they're not coming up with anything in this story that leads to that kind of situation.
No,
what
it looks like to me is this kid was a disgruntled, really poor choice individual who was very vindictive against his in-laws, and he had an axe to grind, and he had no life.
Or he was a great MK Ultra plant from the Air Force that was given a gun because they forgot to put the information in and they made a mistake. I mean, that's how we can look at it, Scott. But that's how the thing falls. And I know you're not a conspiracy guy. You always have, every moment that we've spent together, you always go, you know what? I'm not the conspiracy guy. I'm not going to support that idea. I'm not going to go down that path.
I believe 9/11 was an inside job.
Well, that's not a
James
conspiracy.
Corbett, that James Corbett report was spot on.
But that's not a conspiracy report, dude. That's a factual thing that
you'd be
nobody
surprised.
wants to fucking believe anymore.
Well, no, but I mean, Dov Zakheim. I was in the room with Dov Zakheim, and people actually the person that asked the question right before me came up and brought up a lot of the scenario that Corbett, not quite as eloquently as Corbett did, but when he came in, when she came in and mentioned those facts, he basically called her conspiracy theorist, and the crowd basically, unfortunately, did not support her. So, I mean, that's just unfortunate, but that's you're 9 times out of 10, anybody says that it was an inside job, they're going to call him conspiracy theorist still today.
Listen, Scott, I interviewed a guy, his name was Mark Shaw. He wrote a book called The Reporter Who Knew Too Much. And she was on the forefront, and we're talking in the 60s. She was on the forefront of the JFK assassination. And I think everything she reported before she was murdered, while she was investigating the JFK assassination, will become true eventually. We are. So I want to go back to a question I asked you, because you didn't really answer my question, Scott. You're a motherfucking ball dodger if I ever meant one.
Well, better ball dodger than the alternative.
Answer my question. What do you think about the release of the new JFK information? Have you looked? Have you looked at any of it first?
I answered part of that question, for God's sake.
Have you?
You can't handle the truth.
Are you even listening?
Don't distract me, Scott. Have you looked at any of it, and what's your opinion? We got about, 4 minutes to go.
Well, come back from the time warp. We did say something about this.
Well,
I said I haven't really paid much attention to it, because the first thing that I didn't like about it is that they were basically saying that Oswald didn't have any participation with the CIA, which I know is a blatant lie.
Right.
Second thing I didn't like about it is that they redacted tens of thousands of pages still. So I'm like, oh, okay, well then they're not telling the truth. So I mean, why would you redact it? And certainly if they were going to put those pages out, I have a feeling there'd be a lot of magic marker marks across the damn thing. So it couldn't make head or tail. It'd look more like hieroglyphics than it would English. So, I don't believe that the government's going to be any more honest with us about any of these scenarios that implicate, tremendous criminal activity within the intelligence community and the government and the military. I think that they're going to continue the facade of misleading the American public, and that's why I kind of took it with a grain of salt. And I was like, well, this is bullshit. I said, here they go again. They're going to try to make it look like they're being open and transparent, and at the same time, it's all being basically kept from people. So no, I'm not a fan. You look at what's happened here with the Democratic Party. People caught red-handed. I mean, if people don't start going to jail legitimately, and
you really think
for a fact,
these idiots are going to go to jail, man? Come on.
I don't think so, because as soon as Trump starts going after them, they're going to say, well, we know all the things what Manafort's been doing. Oh, and by the things, we know all the things that you did with the Gambino family in New York too. So how much do you want to open this can of worms?
I could tell you story. Listen, I could tell you a story about the Gambino family. I actually got a job offer for the Gambino family. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I did not.
Yeah, it was 95. I was going to culinary school, and Lou Gambino, who actually had the hots for my mother at the time, offered me a job to come be his personal chef. And he wanted me to cook. Yeah, he wanted me to cook at his house. And I thought about it for a moment, because it was really he offered me a lot of money.
I'm sure.
And I just kind of looked at him. I said, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I can't. And it was a scary thing, but I don't know. It's a weird story that's come out of nowhere. But but he had the hots for my mother. And I can get my honey confirm this. I think we've had this conversation once or twice. And I don't know. It's just one of those things.
It's good to see your memories back.
Oh, my memory? No, my memory's never back, brother. Scott Rickard, Veterans for Peace.
Oh, hey, by the way, you did motherfuck me on this show. That's going to cost you $5.
All right, well, you hit my Twitch.
Motherfucker like 6 times.
Yeah, I called you a motherfucker? Really?
Kind of, yeah.
That's it, man. I'm coming down. I'm coming down to Venice. I'm eating all your turkey.
You better come down. I'm looking forward to seeing you, brother. I haven't seen you in 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to having a hangout with you. Scott Rickard, Press TV, Veterans for Peace, just a good guy that just wants life to live. Like, stop fucking around. Everybody's just stop.
That's
Scott,
right. That's my slogan.
Stop fucking around.
Stop fucking around, Scott Rickard.
Just
no, not
cut
Scott
it out.
Rickard. Governments. Governments need to stop fucking around. That's enough. We're done with your games, your stupidity, and all the things that you.
I have had it up to here.
I have too.
I'm done. Get the fuck off my lawn, motherfuckers.
Your vagina is dirty. Please leave now.
Ew. Don't go.
Boo. How did you have to go there?
Well, somebody had to have a dirty vagina. I mean, why not the U.S. government?
Now my kids can't listen to
Who
this.
has the dirtiest vagina we know? The U.S. government.
Yeah, I don't know if your take on Raz Radio would be a good one for your.
Yeah,
for
your
kids.
kid probably is not a good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put some filtering up on this now.
You just figured that, Scott. You just figured that out, my friend. I've got filters I have to wear when I just walk in a room with you. What I've seen.
Oh, stop!
So, I mean, you're just figuring out the station needs to be filtered.
Good talking to you, Scott.
Good talking to you guys.
Love you, brother. Have a good one. Scott
All right, man.
Rickard, Veterans for Truth, Press TV. Check him out. He's always there. He's always saying something. Listen, you're listening to the first 52. I've had a good night. We've had a lot of fun. That's what we do here. That's how we try to handle it. We want to. I'm trying to get everything together to get out of here too. Also, I'll tell you, just be honest. But anyway, we try to handle it. We try to get information to you. We didn't cover everything I wanted to cover tonight. Not even close. We barely touched the surface of what I want to talk about. But we'll be here next week. We'll touch the surface a little more. We'll touch the surface a little more. All right, guys. I love you. Peace out. Have a great night.
Let's investigate the consequence of a bittersweet loss of sense, a weapon in a war against ourselves. The setting sun, us loading guns, don't be afraid of mistakes, emotions misplaced, to love or to hate. I don't know what to do, we're all lost and confused, just trying to get through in this world. Always trying to prove that we're worth what it takes, but it takes a long time in the dirt to see grace. When I'm trying to be real, they tend to be fake. When I'm risking it all with no time to waste. Fuck this rat race, I'm leaving this place. It's time to blast off, destination space. With the sunset hung behind us and the universe to blind us from the moon, we'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go. And I don't know how I got here or how I'm getting home. But right from day one, I've been in this alone. With odds stacked against, I've been drowning in stress. They said, can you take more? I said, give me what's left. An old man once told me, Allie, don't ever look back. Keep your eyes on that prize and give them hell to your death. This is the just a frequency check for intelligent life. Now it's time to connect. It's an SOS. The dad's been sent. So now we just wait and hope for the best. With the sunset hung behind us in the universe to blind us from the moon, we'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go. With the sunset hung behind us in the universe to blind us from the moon, we'll watch the whole world explode. Moving free, unguided through the beautiful, the silent, with the light show from a passing UFO. Lost in the glow of the unknown. Please don't go.
Love you guys so much. Thanks. First 52's the bomb diggity.
Trap let me out. Thoughts inside my mind, twisting inside my brain. People they come alive, stuck inside this game. Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me, come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world. Lost world alive until you felt my pain. The circus in my mind, like riding on the train. I hear a voice from across the hall, across the hall, across the hall. I try to run, but it follows me, follows me, follows me. It comes to talk to me, it comes to torture me. Still, there's no escape from this insanity. Why was I made for this? For me to sell my soul? I'm losing consciousness. Long trap, let me go. Waiting inside of life, hoping this world would change. I scream with no reply. So much for the pain. I met a man who looked just like God. I told him I was trapped in here. I'll lose some wings and fly, 'cause I was just like him. I'll grow old and die, but I'm not buying it.